on? What's up, everybody? So, when I was trying to decide what to talk to you about today, there's so many things at the beginning of the year that like kind of come across your mind of like things that you need to know. And the problem is that that's where everybody else goes wrong, is there's too much information not only out there, but there's too much information trying to cloud your brain. And so what happens is like we try to get back to those basics and we get too fancy, we get too advanced, we get too calculated as opposed to just getting started. So one of the things I talked about yesterday to my email list, that if you're not on it, you're really missing out. But one of the things we talked about yesterday was the whole fact of you need to kind of put everything into place and perspective of like there's not a perfect plan. There's not a perfect scenario. There's not a right time. Like you just have to get started, because really until like there's action, nothing else happens. So here's the idea, or here's the concept. Like if I write you a perfect workout, a perfect diet, a perfect meal plan, until you actually do it, it's not going to do you any benefit. So that's the beginning part of like where I started yesterday with my email list. So today what I want to talk about is like there's a million things that we could go over in the beginning of the new year. Like we could talk about like what's that one word that's going to define your year. Like for me, it's intentional. Like everything I'm going to be doing is intentional this year. Like there's a game plan, there's a roadmap for my next 12 months. We're fine-tuning the last couple stages, but there's a game plan for the next 12 months. Like I know where I want to get to and I know what I need to do to get there. So intentional is cool. You can come up with your cool word. That's like awesome and all that stuff, but like there's still like everyday life that you have to live. So we can come up with, what's the perfect like cardio plan for you. We can come up with, what's the best ab workout for you. We can come up with all these different things, but if you're building a house on an unstable foundation, it's going to crumble eventually. And so what we need to do is we need to start back at square one, forget goal setting, forget all this other stuff. Like you eat food every freaking day of your life, hopefully. Food is the place to start. If you're not starting with learning how to eat properly, if you're not learning with the basics, if you're not starting where it needs to start at that foundational level of nutrition is king, well, then you're going to lose eventually, because when you start to derail, if your workouts aren't as intense as they need to be, or you miss a few days, or whatever that missing component might end up being, if your nutrition wasn't in line already, like it's just going to set you over the top. So that's where like the snowball effect starts to happen. Like one thing falls off track and everything falls off track. So since you eat food every day, why don't we start with food? So the key thing is like you need to understand what food does for you, how it helps, what it does, when you're supposed to eat it. And when you start to understand that and you can fully like grasp all that, well, then you can miss a few days of workouts. You can skip your additional ab workouts. You can, there's so much more flexibility, but you have to make sure that like your nutritional foundation is right first. So let's talk about this. There's 3 components, 3 macros, 3 things that make up all your food: protein, carbs, and fats. They are not different. They all contain calories, and they all contain, well, not all, but they contain a different amount of calories in each item. So calories are not all created equal. Food is not all created equal. So I'm going to break down just the basics today of the foundation of nutrition. And the reason why we're doing this is tonight, 7 p.m., we have our first nutrition and accountability meeting of the year. So it's January 15th, 7 p.m. If you guys are around and you're local, please attend. That's for everybody to attend. So when we're talking about the macronutrients, protein is going to be the first one we'll talk about. Protein came from anything that flew, walked, or swam in its life cycle. If it produced something like eggs, milk, dairy, that type of thing, it's also going to be a protein. Every protein has 4 calories, exactly 4 every single time, 4 calories. So the whole idea with that is protein helps to build muscle, helps to recover, helps basically every living organism in your body. So everything from your skin all the way down to your heartbeat and everything, like protein or amino acids are required for that function. The next is carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are also going to contain 4 calories every single time. Now, alcohol might contain a little different. There's a few other things and some exceptions, but 4 calories is what you're going to assume. So, carbohydrates, we know most of those, but they come from pasta, potato, bread, and rice. They also come from sugar and fruit. So again, fruit is not all created equal. So we're already talking about 4 calories of carbs and 4 calories of protein. So we already know calories aren't equal, but also carbs are not created equal. Things like sugar and fruit digest very, very quickly. Things like oatmeal and brown rice or something a little bit more dense with fiber is going to take even longer to break down. So you really want to make sure that you know where your calories are coming from. Now, the best thing and most important thing with carbs is they make us happy. and they also give us energy. So your most important times for carbohydrates are always going to be before activity, not after activity. Earlier in the day, not later in the day. The last macronutrient that we're going to talk about today is fats. Fats contain 9 calories. So the whole idea with fats is they contain double the amount of calories than a protein or a carb. Where that might sound bad that it has double the amount of calories, it actually means it has double the amount of energy. The other cool thing about fats is they break down very, very slow and they keep you full for a long time. They also help for your joints, every type of viscosity in between your joints, helps for your brain, helps for your heart, helps for your memory. So fats are extremely important, so you can't cut those out. Where you're going to find fats from is nuts, oils, seeds, animal meat, and those type of things. So the best time for fats is after meals or in between meals, and they're like a bridge basically until your next meal because they keep you full for a longer period of time. So let's start again back with the basics. Protein is going to have 4 calories. You're going to eat it all throughout the day because it's going to keep the fire burning hot and it's going to keep every living organism fueled. Carbohydrates is going to have, again, 4 calories. You're going to eat them before your activity levels and before any time that you're going to be moving, productive, or active. Fat is going to be the bridge between meals. It has 9 calories per gram. That is going to be the thing that's going to keep you full either late at night or in between meals as a snack. So I hope that helps at least for your initial Nutrition 101 lesson. Don't get too fancy. Don't start, counting everything first. Like, let's just break it down to the basics. Your food early in the day has protein and carbs. Your food later in the day has vegetables, obviously, and then proteins and fats. So focus on the basics, start there, and then we'll start to get a little bit more advanced, a little bit more fancy, and a little bit more kind of fine-tuned as we go along. So I hope that's a great place to start. 7 minutes here. I think we've used up enough knowledge and space and stuff for today. So I will catch you tomorrow when we get into a little bit more advanced details. See you then. And of course, I just picked up my wife, and I had the AC blasting on cold AC.
Oh, I just put it on heat. It's 53 degrees. He's in shorts, and literally the AC was blasting on high.
I don't know what happened. I have no excuses. I run hot.
Freak of nature.